Welcome into the last episode of the year. That's Boxing Podcast. We got a lot to get into today. How you feeling, Coach?
I'm great, Dust. How are you feeling?
I bet you're feeling like 10,000 calories of Burger King that I just saw you scarf down.
No, that was a boutique, custom handmade cheeseburger action. I did not say Burger King on that paper bag.
Listen, we all need to lean into our imperfections so that we have something to work on in the new year. And,
Hey, listen, man. If I'm going to come in here and put down the podcast performance of the year, I need some food in me, all right?
You also need a LaCroix, I see, that you've stolen from my refrigerator.
Yeah, you got to keep that stock up, man.
For those that don't know, Coach has a drawer in the fridge.
Non-alcoholic beers.
We just have to keep this stocked for him somehow. I'm going to put a little tip jar in there.
Yeah, that's
next
not a bad
time.
idea.
Yeah, you can start refilling us. Well, we got to get into a recap of the fights that we just saw through the haze of chicken and waffles and mimosas, non-alcoholic mimosas.
It was a sticky situation.
Yeah. And we got to get into our year-end recap, which is what I'm most excited about.
Wow.
But let's get right into it. Alexander Usyk gets the job done in the rematch, goes to the decision as you predicted.
Yep.
We got scorecards, unanimous decision this time, gets it done. Same scorecard across all three. That's pretty rare. I can't even remember the last time I saw that happen, even in a UD. And then, of course, we got the AI scorecard that was a bit wider, 118, 112. I want to get into all this, but fresh off the fight, what was your takeaway? What was your feeling? How'd you go through it?
I thought it was a great fight. It was actually closer than the first fight, even though the scores didn't reflect that so much.
Was it closer? Because you get the unanimous decision, but I felt like watching it, it was a better fight. It was more nip and tuck.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah, good shifts in momentum, but mostly it was in Usyk's hands the whole time. I thought he had the thing in his hands, and he anytime Fury would get a little bit momentum, he wasn't able to hold on to it for very long. So, good fight, man. I mean, great, super entertaining. Is everything I wanted. The boxer prevailed. I said if the boxer can prevail and he can box the whole time and not get caught up. There was a few moments where Fury was trying to be the bear and hug and grapple and wrestle and change momentum, but Usyk was able to slip out and just so disciplined, get back on his game plan and finish the fight just how he started it. You know, just using that lead hand, using his footwork, high output, just great boxer, man.
Speaking of high output, I thought this was really interesting. Total punches thrown throughout the fight, Usyk 423, Fury 509. That did not track at all with my watching the fight, my experience watching it. I thought Usyk threw easily 20 to 25% more volume of punches than Fury did. He looked like the busier boxer in there all night, every round. But they're saying Fury threw more punches. Now, punches landed 179 for Usyk, 144 for Fury. So Usyk actually connecting 42% of the time and Fury only connecting 28% of the time. So much more accurate for Usyk.
Yeah, he was landing a lot. And you could see it was eventually having an effect on Fury where he was a little burned out, a little bummed. He was just kind of over it. He would get hit with a shot and kind of paw at it and kind of turn away. He wasn't looking to counterpunch. He was just like, damn, man, like, get this dude off me.
Yeah.
And that persistent Ukrainian pressure was just there all night long. And yeah, I don't agree with, I don't know what they're counting. Maybe every little flicking backhand that Fury was throwing. He was throwing some straight up backhands in there. And
yeah, he didn't, this fight, I think, lacked a moment. The last fight had the 9th round, but it also had some times where Usyk got, we mentioned on the last podcast, like pretty rocked, pretty hurt by the uppercut, especially I think in the 5th round earlier in the fight. This didn't really have moments either way. I mean, Usyk definitely landed some clean rear hands right down the pipe and that, made everybody, oh, shit. But no one really ever looked like they were that hurt or in that much trouble. It just kind of continued unpunctuated throughout all the rounds, and they kind of both were busy and had small moments in each round, but really it just felt like Usyk kind of ran away with it.
Yeah, I think it was exactly what he was. His game plan, his post-fight press conference was great. There's a lot of things that happened we can talk about after the fight with Dubois or Fury, but Usyk, he deserves all the credit and all the attention. These guys are trying to take the attention away from the guy who won the fight, and he was real humble. He said what happened. He thanked his coaches, thanks his team. And gives the credit where the credit's due, for the preparation. You can't imagine how hard this guy has to train to have that level of cardio conditioning to be able to box like that against a guy that big for that long at this high stakes level. It's amazing. I'd like to see what his workout routine looks like.
Yeah, a lot of basketball. He shoots a lot of hoops.
Yeah,
in
I heard he
training camp.
wrestles too once a week, like full on the mat wrestling, like
can see
Olympic
that.
style.
Well, his kids were also champions on Saturday.
Oh, that was so heartwarming.
I know.
Yes.
He's like, that's so crazy to be like, retain the unified 3-belt heavyweight world champion. And you're like, hold on, we need to talk about my kids who became judo champions. That they're like, wow. Okay.
What a guy. He says, I want to go home and watch the trees grow and look at the sky. I mean, what a guy.
Yeah. But at the same time, I half expected the retirement. Like, well, we'll see what's next for me or something like that. But instead, he's, I'll fight Dubois next. That's fine. Whatever. Line it up. Is Frank Warren here? Make the fight next.
I know.
Is Turkey here?
He looked a little, maybe just for a second, a little flash of annoyance in his eyes when Dubois came in there charging. I mean, what was Dubois' plan? Was he going to call out Tyson Fury if he won? Like he's just there
Do
to
you think
call
it
out
was
the
Dubois,
winner?
or do you think they grabbed him and were like, go up there and...
Yeah, I don't know. He's probably doing whatever Frank tells him to do.
Yeah.
And Frank's like, I'm leaving with the winner of something somehow.
Yeah.
Like
This is about me somehow.
If my fighter doesn't win tonight, then I'm going to win the next contract for the winner, right? Like I'm going to get some money out of the next fight that's happening somehow. Like it's this constant hustle from these promoters. And Fury leaving, what do you think about that? He didn't even stick around for the interview.
So Fury dipped right out. Did you watch the post-fight press conference?
Not in entirety, just saw the clips.
Yeah, so he says, I will believe until the day I die I won the first fight and I won this fight. I believe him that he believes that. I don't know how to teach him to score a fight, right? It's like, man, you watch the first one back and you don't see any path to this guy beating you, like round by round. You don't even see the close rounds where they could be 50-50, which there obviously were some in the first fight, though less in this fight. What is next for Fury off this loss? I mean, is he the same guy? Does everyone want to see him against Joshua just as much as they did before?
He's been getting by, winning a lot of fights, close fights. He's never been a knockout machine. So I don't understand why he's up there saying, well, you got to get a knockout to win. The judges are against you. I'm like, the judges have been for you your whole career,
Judges and the refs.
Yeah, and the promoter. Turkey was pretty hard for him too.
Yeah.
So, it finally came out, you're on the wrong side of this, and the rest of the world sees it as fair. I get it. He doesn't have to say, he has to sit around and be happy about losing, but I think he'll get over it. I think he'll move on. He's bipolar. Will just kind of carry him over to the next thing, and it'll be a big fight back home. You
think AJ's next? It's got to be next, right?
That'd be amazing.
I mean, why would you not do it at that point? Just the money on the table alone. It's like, man, sell out Wembley, do this fight.
Yeah,
do one in Saudi and one in Wembley.
That'd be amazing.
Unbelievable money.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to watch that. He's always going to be entertaining. I'm just glad that the right guy won. He represents, as an ambassador for boxing, Alexander Usyk represents everything that I want to see a world champion behave like and box like and box his way. See, Fury's so big and so tall, and I'm sitting there watching him, and he was able to, with his stature and his height advantage, pull off a lot of things that most guys wouldn't be able to against a southpaw just because it's so far away. Long lead hand, low lead hand, Usyk really had to work hard to get those punches in there. He had to really work to get past that range, that 81, 82-inch range or whatever it is that Fury's got. That kid was working all night. And Fury, he's getting away with a lot of shit he wouldn't normally get away with. He would normally get away with against lesser competition, guys who were a little more flat-footed, guys who were just looking for one big shot at a time. But here he's got this persistent dude who just won't get off him all night long. And I think it frustrated him, and he mentally started to break down there towards the end of the fight. And, he knows deep, deep down inside, bro, you didn't win that fight.
I hope so. Well, one thing we said to look for that we called out within 2-3 rounds of the fight was Usyk picking up right where he left off, going to his right, going to Tyson's left, the weak side. And I feel like Fury just never got an answer to that because he's not great off the back foot. He doesn't have, he's twitchy and has good like upper body movement, especially for a big guy, but he doesn't have amazing footwork. And he couldn't really ever make anything happen off that. He'd just kind of throw the flicking jab out and miss him, or try to throw like a lead hook that like swept around and clotheslined Usyk into, corral him a little bit. But that's what I saw all night was Usyk dipping and shifting right to his right, and it was just the safe zone, the get out of trouble. And he'd land the two right up the pipe and then switch and dump to the right like he does and repeat.
Yeah, no, he really did repeat a lot of the same movements. It's just you just can't figure out when he's going to do it because he's in constant motion. He's constantly feinting and threatening. And Fury had a few moments where he just threw a standard just 1-2 right down the pipe, and they would land, or if they were partially blocked, they were so solid they would knock Usyk back. but as Fury never followed that up.
Yeah.
You know, there was no momentum built off those small moments of success. And if you look at the face of the fighters after they tell a story too, and Fury was the one who's marked up quite a bit more this time.
Oh, yeah.
And Usyk went home looking nice.
Yeah, there's something about like they let Usyk get too big. He became a heavyweight from a cruiserweight, obviously, and I'm sure he's been bulking. I mean, putting on good weight, good muscle over several years now of his heavyweight career. And now his measurables are to the inch, to the pound, identical to Muhammad Ali. Kind of an interesting side-by-side comparison, but same height, same reach, same everything. And, I mean, obviously Ali would be a small heavyweight by today's standards because everybody's kind of blown up, but I feel like they let him get too big. If I'm Tyson, I'm taking the loss a little extra hard because of the stature of my opponent. Like, man, you couldn't even use all these measurable advantages to get this guy out of there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what the beauty of boxing is. A smaller dude can outwork and out-hustle and outthink a bigger guy. And it also shows you that a boxer who has natural attributes has to work on having well-rounded craft. So he's not just relying on one thing, whether it be power, Wilder, or, you know, footwork or whatever. You might have one good thing, but one thing alone isn't enough to be a well-rounded world-class, world champion, all-time great. So what are we saying about Usyk? What's next for him?
That's my next question is Usyk what's a generation? I don't know where the mark of a generation is, right? But if Klitschko passed the torch by being beaten by both Fury and AJ to a new opening the door to, are they the potential greats? Obviously, between the two of them, plus you throw Usyk in the mix, he's number one. So is he the greatest of this generation? Is he the greatest of this decade? Is he the greatest of all time?
Yeah, man, it's like a crop, you know, like a crop grows, you know, and then it gets harvested and then a new crop grows. And this crop, you know, however long this takes, this current group of dudes, he's beat them all. Dubois, AJ, Fury twice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, what else Wilder's gone. He was spoiled before Usyk even got a chance to get to him.
Right.
You know, and there's a few other guys out there, but they're not really tippy top, and I don't see him beating Fury. I mean, beating Usyk. So,
yeah, I mean, to really clean out the division, he could go beat Zhang, Hrgovic,
Parker,
Bacoli, Parker, right? He could really like beat every single person that's a contender now. And to be honest, I'd rather that than see him face Dubois or something like that again. Even though I think Dubois gives him a much better fight in the rematch. It's more impressive to kind of just clean out anybody that could possibly be a contender, right? And in some ways, these 2 and 3 fight deals with all these rematch clauses slow the pace so much. And with boxers only fighting 1 or 2 times a year, it's like nobody's going to ever be good enough to clean out everybody at a division because there's just not enough time in life.
No, and by the time you do get maybe through 2 or 3 of them, there'll be some new kid popped up who wants to cut your head off, and you're like, man, I've been working out here.
And eventually you're 43 and you lose because Father Time caught up to you, and that's when the torch gets passed. So to me, I see Usyk beating anybody that's in the top 10 right now. I mean, some with more trouble. I mean, him at Bacoli would be like just a bizarre fight because now you're just increasing even the size more so. But it's like, hey, he's in there with Tyson Fury, he's a giant dude, takes him down. But how do you stretch legacy back retrospectively? I mean, is he beating George Foreman? Is he beating prime Mike Tyson? I mean, those are two about polar opposite, different styles.
It's a different sport at this point. We have different rules. We got different, less rounds than those guys had. Those guys were fighting 15-rounders.
Yeah. And can you crown somebody the greatest heavyweight of all time with what, less than 10 total heavyweight fights?
Yeah, we could say his of the current crop of all fighters of all weight classes, you could say he's in the top 3, right? Yeah. And we could
currently fighting, current fighting, definitely.
Yeah. We could even take that into like the modern, what do you call it, the 2000s. I
don't know. You got people like. I think anytime you cross over to heavyweight, you're taking the top off of the division, the weight limit, right? And so it's just even more impressive. But you got people like Roy Jones who are going up, 5+ different weight classes. Hard to compare something like that all the way to heavyweight compared with Usyk. It's tough.
Yeah, but he didn't become undisputed in all those weight classes.
True.
He just, I don't know. That's a hard flex, but I think some of those were just convenient or necessities as his body aged, and not necessarily a strategic like thing. It's just like, oh, you want to take this fight? Yeah, but I don't want to cut weight.
Right.
And I'm Roy Jones Jr., so I'm going to fight at whatever weight I want to fight at.
Right.
Less than like I'm chasing greatness. It's more like I'm already great, so they can come. I can just fight anybody wherever I want to.
Yeah.
But and he didn't. You know, he did have some heavyweight success, but I wouldn't say it was very impressive, and it certainly wasn't against the cream of the crop.
Yeah, and very, very few people to become completely undisputed at heavyweight. I mean, it's been 25 years since we had a 4-belt champion, and Usyk's that. So I think he very clearly at least throws his name out there to be relevant in the conversation for greatest heavyweight of all time, greatest boxer of all time. Whether he is or not, that's something people can, have 2 beers and debate endlessly.
Yeah, we got to put him up in the top running of the conversation. In the top 10. He should be known by all man now. All people, all humans around the world should know his name and know what he's accomplished because it's that extraordinary. And he's such a gentleman in the doing of it. So, hats off and cheers to Alexander Usyk, heavyweight champion of the world.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
And apparently it's not over. Apparently the run will continue. And I'd be very curious to see if it's not the Dubois rematch next. I mean, I'm looking at the top 10 rankings now, and it's like, okay, go after Parker at 4, Joshua at 5, you already beat twice. Him at Zhang is interesting. Bakoli is interesting. Caballero is interesting. Then beyond that, don't have much interest. Ruiz, Miller, it thins out pretty quick.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to do another run of 2 or 3, I think he could probably cement the at least the greatest of this generation. But for me personally, he's already there.
Yeah, I don't think he has to. He could retire right now today, and I'm happy with it, what he's done. And I hope he can do that and be happy with it too.
Yeah. Well, another impressive heavyweight. You know what? I wanted to ask you this real quick about the AI scorecard. Did you look at the round scoring on it? Because you called it right away. You must be like Goodwill Hunting, like a math genius over here. Like, wait a minute, there must be a 10-10 round in there.
There was two
10-10 rounds.
First one and the last one.
And I think I said this on like episode 2 of this podcast. Like, there's not enough 10-10 rounds.
You did. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, because people are always looking and they're like, I don't know who won. I'll just pick this person. And I'm like, what? That's not how.
Yeah.
10-10. Just leave it even.
Yeah.
And I think this fight probably did warrant some 10-10 rounds.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Maybe the AI will influence the humans. And these other guys
teach them how to score.
Yeah, I thought it was fair. Nobody's really arguing about the results. Nobody's calling it a robbery, except for
Frank Warren. And,
I guess and some other Manchester.
Do you see they had AJ scoring it?
What did
he live on the broadcast?
Oh, that was his.
Yeah, they were
unofficial
flashing
scorecard.
Yeah, and I'm like, why are you broadcasting the dude that has like $100 million riding on Fury winning?
Wow.
And
who did he have winning?
Fury, of course. And it just goes right along with like, guys, DAZN, I know you're listening. Stop with the British broadcasters.
Yeah, I didn't really hear what they were saying because we had a pretty lively crowd in here, and I was, hooting and hollering and shadowboxing half the time. But my wife watched it, and she told me that the British broadcasters were just like, "Oh, look at him go! Look at Fury go! Oh, nice move!"
And both the commentators who had their unofficial scorecards both scored it for Fury. And it's like, guys, you're bad at your job. Like, straight up, like, you're so biased, even in your brain, you cannot tell what's happening. Like, 3 judges and now apparently an AI judge and damn near the whole world. Because you can find anybody on Instagram saying robbery, and there ain't anybody saying that shit today. All saw it one way. And you're commentating for the world, not just for British people. And they just can't see it. And you and I were joking during the broadcast a couple of times when we heard him. Usyk would just be landing at will, completely dominating the round. And then Fury would land one jab and they'd be like, oh, Fury gets his get back.
Yeah.
He peppered him right in his knickers. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
dude?
maybe it has something to do with why British people are so bad at doing the boxing usually. And when you get one that comes along that's kind of good, it's a big deal.
It's a huge accomplishment in and of itself.
Yeah, and like they don't even know what good boxing is supposed to look like, so they're just stuck in this like eternal loop of sucking a little bit.
Well, watching your boxer get punched in the face 13 times in a round, like, you should know he's losing the round.
Yeah, it's nothing. He's fine.
He's fine.
He'll be all right. He's tough.
He's shucking to his sockers.
I'm flying into London on Sunday, so I better watch my back out there.
Yeah, you better fucking bring this type of energy when you're over there.
I know I'm going to hit up a couple gyms, man. If they try to start making me stand straight up and down and all stiff and awkward looking with no fucking flow and no upper body movement.
Now you know why Bomac had to roll out there strapped. You know, I just seriously get these guys. If you want to have one color commentator that's British, that's fine. But having a full British pant, it's just like there's no just mute. Put the mute on. It's
Terrible.
enough. It's too much.
Terrible for boxing.
All right, but other heavyweight fight on this card, Itamo McKean, young dude.
Moses. Oh, what a punch. What a punch.
We said to take the under, but we were 50-50 on it, and nope. That dude, first round KO, so fast. Dude never saw it coming, absolutely crumpled him. He beats the count, gets up, and then just gets crumpled immediately again.
The first shot was on the back of the head.
Was it the first one?
The first one was. You can see it in the slow-mo. But it was kind of caused his own foul. He turned his head away. It's like southpaw versus southpaw, and he wasn't accustomed to that or something. So here comes this big looping rear hand from his opponent, and he rolled away from it preemptively, and so he gave him his head.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he had his back turned and the guy hit him.
Right.
So you can't really call it an intentional or illegal blow, but it did lead to the end of the road for him real quickly, because then he wasn't defending himself at all, and the next one landed right on the chin. And that one, he fell down, the way his ankle crumpled up underneath him, and it's like a 260-pound dude. The tower has fallen, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like probably cracked his ankle pretty bad.
It looked rough.
Yeah.
It looked bad. It looked like maybe that's the end of that.
Those are the kind of clips where you make you like, maybe people shouldn't do this to each other.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe this is from another time.
Yeah, let's not do this to each other, please. If every fight ended like that, there would be no boxing. It's just too violent, too brutal.
Yeah.
But, buddy, you got to protect yourself. That was the first round.
First round.
And you know
first
this
30
guy's
seconds.
a slugger.
Yep.
And you know he's a southpaw. Like he was in some kind of weird kangaroo fucking guard.
Dude, he was. The second he came out, I was like, this dude literally looks like a kangaroo.
Yeah. Get
the fucking hand back to your face. This dude is going to kill you.
I
And
know.
then
It was like some kind of weird Muay Thai guard, like high elbows way up in the air. Not a good look.
That's the stiff shit you were just talking about, though, where people look like there's no flow to what they're doing. There's no movement. It's like unathletic looking. You know, like it looks like a Rock'em Sock'em robot with like bendable joints that only go one way. You know, no good.
No good at all.
But exciting for the heavyweight division.
Wow, yeah, well, huge knockout, big shot for that kid, and we'll see what they do for him next. Who knows? After a clip like that, he's gonna have a hard time getting a match.
Yeah. Yep. Well, fight right before that, we also said take the stoppage. Also said buy the under, and we got a few rounds to spare. Bohocek gets a 6-round retirement. Dude, just no mas. That was enough. He dropped him in the second round, I think, with a lead hook. And he was being tricky and shifting back and forth from orthodox to southpaw and trying to show new looks. But again, we just said Bohocek's going to get back in the stoppage column, and that's what he looked like. He's just walking through everything, his little shuffle, high guard shuffling.
Smiling almost.
Yep, just this is the end of you.
Yeah, that's when you see a guy who's breaking out all the moves, man, every trick in the book in the first round.
Yeah,
he's showing you he can switch stances, he can hit with both hands, he can shift left and right, he can herk and jerk and do all this and all that, but he's on the back foot, and he's just like, wow, it's going to be a long night, dude. You're going to have to be perfect all night if you're going to box like that, and you're going to have to keep showing these different looks and keep shifting your moves. And he landed some good clean shots, and but Bohocek didn't have to change anything. He just kept coming forward.
Yep.
And we thought maybe for a second, man, if he might walk into something, but right after we said that, he caught him with the hook and put the guy down, and then the momentum got even stronger, and eventually the corner stopped it. It's the right thing to do. But, yeah, I mean, that dude got his get back, and you think he'll ever get another run back at Virgil Ortiz Jr.?
I do. I think Bohocek, I was curious to see if he'd be as impervious to danger as he has been, because he went 12 with Ortiz, and Ortiz was cracking him like hard to the body, dropped him at a time in the fight, like. And he looked every bit as indestructible. And granted, this was not like this was a test against a huge puncher or something like that, but he didn't look like he changed his game plan one bit. And Bohocek is my sleeper. We should put this on who's going to be the fighter of next year. My prediction is Bohocek. I think he gets the winner of Ortiz Madrimov. Whoever it is, I think he wins. I think Boots ends up at 154, and I think Madrimov beats Boots. I think he's just kind of a
Oh,
dark.
Bohocek beats Boots?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's too tough. I think he hits way harder than it looks like he does. I love how short his shots are. He fires them all out of the high guard. He never like does the Canelo drop his hand and wind up. He doesn't have to do any of that. So he's only vulnerable like right to the body, right on the sides, but he's constantly in motion and shuffling it. I just think it's like too much, too over, and he's right on you the whole time. Like there's no breathing, no resetting, no nothing. I just don't think anybody can keep up with that. I mean, Ortiz did a great job. I thought he lost the fight.
Yeah.
But I think he loses more clearly the second time.
Yeah, that was the real close one. And a gift of the year, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So that's my fighter of 2025.
Okay, that's exciting, man. We'll see how that plays out. I think Madrimov it might be a little tough. Might be a little tough to get through.
I think he'd be tougher than Ortiz again, but I'm just putting it out there. Just crystal ball for next year.
Yeah, well, we'll be there. We'll be there. That's Boxing Podcast. We'll be there with all you, our listeners, our loyal listeners, to check in and like, listen, and share and all that. Because we're just getting started, man. We're wrapping up our first year.
True.
And we're about to kick off our second year, and we're not slowing down.
No. Speed is only going to increase.
Yeah, we're fast. We're mean.
We're starting to take performance-enhancing drugs.
We are.
It's really...
I know. I took that creatine, bro. I'm trying to bulk up a little bit.
What'd you take? Monohydrate?
Fire me. I don't know.
5 grams?
I don't know.
Yeah. You got to
just
sort
order
it.
this shit on the fucking black market.
Yeah.
And I do lines of it every morning with
That's
my
how
coffee.
to do it. Yeah, one in each.
Shit.
All right, one piece of news real quick that dropped 2 seconds before we just jumped on.
Oh, fight's canceled.
What? Fight's canceled. I had good news. You have bad news?
I got bad news.
What?
You don't know this news?
What's the news? I got good news.
Breaking news.
What is it?
Of all the fights that are supposed to happen in early next year, one of them got canceled.
It's not.
This is your Christmas present. You get to open it right now.
Oh, it's dog shit. What is it?
It is dog shit.
What fight got canceled? Shakur?
No.
I don't care then. No, who is it?
Tank.
Oh, I don't give a shit about that.
Well,
Good.
he went on Instagram and took a picture of the floor and then typed in the fight's canceled.
That's it.
That's so the Instagram is exploding today with that news drop.
So a completely meaningless fight that never should have been scheduled.
Well, that's what everybody's like. Yeah, okay, whatever. Nobody's sad about that.
Yeah.
Like, we need a top 10 fighter. We need
Yeah.
a top 3 fighter. You know.
Just because I love to go back to this because I got the rankings open right now. Let's dump on Tank for 5 seconds. Okay, Tank's stuck at 135, right? He's not moving. He's not gonna fight Loma because Loma should retire. He's not gonna fight Shakur because Shakur's got a fight lined up. Zepeda fucked up his hand, right?
I know somebody who's ready to go.
Who's ready to go?
Teofimo Lopez.
Well, that's my news. Now my news is Teofimo Lopez just announced right before he got on the air he's agreed to a title fight. it might be a fart
Yeah,
in March
might be a stinker.
with Matias.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay, Subriel Matias.
so that's something.
Wow, that is some news. All right, so I guess he's not available for Tank.
Yep.
Well,
And that's the wrong weight because Tank's he's
not going up.
Nobody can be above 135. Kambosos, and then it's like okay, Keyshawn Davis and Brenchek 5 and 6 already fighting, great fight. So he could wait and take the winner of that. Kambosos don't care. Frank Martin already beat him, and then it just drops to Cruz and Murataya. So maybe Murataya,
fringe. Some fringe contenders out there.
but Murataya was he was next in line for Brenchek. Top Rank skipped Murataya and put Davis in there. So maybe as a gift, they give Murataya Tank. That's a puncher v puncher.
Yeah, but that's Top Rank. They're not going to work with PBC.
I don't know if the pay's right. They
I
might
think
figure
that's
it
one
out.
thing that keeps these things from happening.
Yeah.
Because the Al Heyman show over with the PBC on the Amazon Prime deal, they only fight their own fighters.
Well, Tank's gonna have to figure something out because he's kind of in that Canelo camp of he's running out of people to pull up that he can easily beat but still sell tickets.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to do what Usyk does and go fight a guy who's like 55 pounds heavier than you.
Yeah, I don't think the Tank is made of the same substance that Usyk is made out of. But that's what kills me because he probably is. I think Tank is that good, but he just doesn't want to find out.
Yeah.
Well, we gained a pretty good fight. Matias Lopez, great fight. Matias is going to come forward, which is exactly what Tio wants, to be slick and fight off the back foot and,
yeah,
stop this guy.
that's going to give us a great fight.
Yep. Well, should we get into 2024 recap?
Let's take a look back and see what happened.
We're sitting here 2 days before Christmas. It's all wrapped up. No big fights till next year. What should we start with? We've got our categories: our fight of the year, KO of the year, decision of the year, upset of the year, fighter of the year, prospect of the year, podcast of the year, and then Dust podcast host of the year. Also, we could do moment of the year. We said,
Yeah, moments / whatever, like non-actual in-ring entertainment thing.
should we start with upset of the year?
Of course, yeah. Let's get that out of the way.
All right, you got any contenders?
Well, right out the bat, man, it just happened last week. We got to talk about Jaime Munguia and Saras.
Yeah, our Frenchman.
What an upset. I think that was the biggest betting upset of the year.
Like the widest odds. Yeah. Because there was,
And-
I think, Munguia was like plus 1,200, maybe more, plus 1,900. Big upset.
Yeah. That has to be the biggest one on paper.
I will say the one thing about that is Munguia, we never really knew where he was at 168, right? Or even 160. Like, he beats Baranchek. Baranchek. Who's the Ukrainian dude he beat?
Which one?
At 168. That was fight of the year last year.
Oh, yeah. The Terminator. What they call him? The guy who fought Triple G. He's been around forever. He doesn't really fight with the Ukrainian style. That's why I didn't think of him right away.
Yeah, Derevyanchenko.
Yeah.
Yeah, beats Derevyanchenko, but like barely, right? And then we're like, oh, okay, this guy's like the man at 168. Then he TKOs John Ryder, which Canelo couldn't do, and then he loses to Canelo. So we like never quite knew how high his stock should, like, is he the second best at 168? I don't really know. Maybe it's just a weak division. So, but you're right. On paper, just giant upset, unbelievable.
Yeah. What else you got? What else you got for upsets?
Upset of the year, Baranchek beating Navarrete.
Yeah, that was I mean, if you know boxing, you knew it was going to be harder than it sounded. Baranchek has never really gotten any love, even though he's part of that Ukrainian team. He's part of the same Nomas or Papachenko squad, but he just never really got the shine. He was never the gold medalist. He was never the golden boy. But he's a talented boxer with a really awkward style. And here comes another talented boxer with a really awkward style. And their styles kind of mixed into this ugly soup.
Yep.
And a lot of elbows clashing and fucking feet tangling. And nobody really, really got any magic going in that fight. But, I think a lot of people expected Navarrete to win. So,
Oh, yeah. Heavy
definitely an
favorite.
upset.
Rayo beats Pitbull.
Yeah, man. Hometown hero from just up the road.
Yep. How about the dude whose name I can't pronounce beating Tim Zhu?
Yeah, Tim Zhu with the inability to defend himself from the same punch 3 times in 3 rounds.
I think that was a huge upset because of how violent it was.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
It was like one dude was the heavy favorite, and like 1 round in, you're like, oh shit. What?
And like his dad was there for the first time in however many fights, and it's just like, oh, son, you have failed.
You failed. That was definitely heartbreak of the year. If
Yeah.
that was the category.
That was close for sure.
And then I got a back-to-back, man. Dubois, AJ, and Dubois, Hergovic.
Oh,
He was the underdog in both of those fights, and he ran through both of them.
underdog Daniel Dynamite Dubois.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it started with the Hergovic was when people started thinking, uh-oh, this guy might really be onto something. And then it ended with Joshua
Yep.
just getting smoked.
Yep.
Yikes. That was, oof. Yeah. But because Joshua had lost before and Hergovic's not really a star, then you can't really say that those were shocking upsets.
They were pretty shocking. They were pretty shocking. I remember us both sitting here going, man, Dubois is pretty good, but fuck, Usyk made him quit off a jab, and Hergovic is just like big and strong, and he's a great boxer. And we were like, yeah, I mean, you're right. We could see the victory for Dubois, but we didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then he was like plus 400 against AJ. I mean, he was underdog.
Yeah, that's true. I think a star has to fall for it to be a big upset, and Joshua definitely was a star that fell. But it wasn't the first time he's fallen.
It was a star already sitting on Earth.
Yeah, yeah. So when Jaime went down, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's not supposed to happen.
I
the
agree.
first time, Josh, if we were to go back in the time machine to 2018 or whatever it was, when Joshua Ruiz went down, that would have been upset of the year, no problem.
Absolutely, upset
That
of
was,
the year.
wow, shocking. You're
Yeah.
not supposed to do that. What's wrong? How'd
Yeah.
that happen?
Yeah.
So I think Joshua's a bigger star than Jaime Munguia in the world of boxing, in the world of the world. But in this context, I got to vote for Jaime Munguia, upset of the year.
I'm with you. I agree.
Do we have to agree on all these?
We don't have to. Whatever
we
I say
could-
is what we'll write down.
Okay.
But in this case, we agree. So
Well, you got the computer, so you got
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
I'm in charge.
Yeah.
But no, but just I like just going off the odds. That's the literal quantifier
Sure.
of who people thought was going to win, and fucking nobody thought Shiraz was going to win, and he took him out. So upset of the year. Sorry, Jaime.
All right, kid.
Let's go right into KO of the year.
Wow. Okay, KO of the year. Wow, folks, this is where the action starts. Ooh, well,
I got a list, man.
you got a long ass list. I
a
got
long
2 or
ass
3
list.
on here.
Okay, who you got?
Well, we'll just get right back to Dynamite Dubois.
Okay,
That
Dubois, which one?
The Anthony Joshua.
That was it.
I mean, that one was so spectacular that everybody had to get on Instagram and tell you how to throw the uppercut properly. I mean, like it was such a conversation of like how not to box, because this is what happens when you get it wrong. And nobody was really even talking about how great the punch from Dubois was. It was more about how poor the defense was from Anthony Joshua. So a lesson to be learned for all of us boxing heads out here and those who dream about getting in the ring and throwing some punches. But yeah, man, I got that one up there as my number 2, just because.
Number 2. What's your number 1?
Oh, that would be we got Leo.
Leo Lopez.
Because you know why that's over Dubois? It's because he had to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
He had to fight for 9 or 10 hard rounds before he got that one in there, and he got it in there just right. And again, like most knockouts, came off a defensive mistake. It was capitalized on by an offensive attack, and it was perfectly timed. And, wow, especially at the lower weight classes, it's always a little more impressive when you get a good, violent one-shot knockout. So hats off to Angelo Leo, especially had a little hint of an upset in it as well.
Hint of an upset in front of his hometown. And, man, go back and watch the replay if you're listening. That dude was out cold.
Yeah, Lopez was down hard. That's
Out cold. No, they didn't even count.
No.
And that might be a qualifier for KO of the year. It's not like a TKO. It's not you almost beat the count. It's like, whew, fight's over. One punch.
Yeah, such a great shot. Now, that kid is yet to defend that title. Not only was that a great knockout in front of his hometown crowd and a bit of an upset, but it was the WBC world title. And it's like, wow, now you're the man.
Yep.
So somebody's going to try to beat that dude.
Yep.
And he's got, I've seen him on Instagram training. I don't know who he's going to match up with, but I'm sure he'll have a fight in the early quarter next year and defend that belt.
There's also that, I wish I'd looked it up before this, but the Twitterson and Lopez getting in it before the fight.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
him saying you run or whatever. And then I can't remember, Twitter said some shit like, well, watch you just get knocked out off a defensive flaw. And then he laid money on Leo. And oh, that's exactly what happens. There's some poetic justice in there. Other honorable mentions, Plant McCumbee. That was a crazy good fight. Just and the energy swinging both ways, and then Plant just fucking finding that gear in the pit of his stomach and just stopping dude. That was great. Oscar Valdez and Wilson. That was a good fight. Ortiz Delorme, Bam Rodriguez and Estrada. Great stoppage. Body shot. Anderson Bacole. That was.
Ooh, yeah.
Remember seeing his head pop around like a pinball? That was
big
rough.
knockout. Big knockout.
Tank and Frank.
Oof.
Vicious.
One punch smoked him.
Yeah, that was rough. Inoue Neri.
Oh, yeah. I'd come back from getting knocked down
Yep.
to get the knockout.
That was a big one. And then what we thought was going to be knockout of the year at the time, Robeisy Ramirez and Brandon Benitez.
All right.
The uppercut from hell.
The uppercut of doom.
That was really rough. And then I would say of all of these, the most violent, tied for most violent, which would either be Bacole on Anderson or Wardley Clark.
Oh, because he like dented the dude's head.
That was like, again, you talk about like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. When I watched that, I was like, I'm not going to sleep well tonight.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's gnarly. Those heavyweights can really punch, and they should certainly be able to with all that size. But they got to work on their defense, these boys. Got to
Crazy.
keep those hands up.
Maybe move, try
Maybe
something.
Try something.
Yeah.
That
was violent. But my vote, I really like Lopez Leo. I think that's knockout of the year.
Yeah,
But
it was classy.
I got to throw it down for Raymond Ford and Kolmatov. just because of how the fight was going down. He was losing on the scorecards. It was, I think there was 10 seconds left in the fight. I mean, it was like to the wire, and he stops him. That was just the drama. And because I had money on Ford by stoppage.
Yeah, big drama show there. What a fight. Ford had a busy year. He won that fight, and then he lost that title, and then he went on to fight again recently. So 3 fights this year, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's making a name for himself for sure, even though he lost one of those fights.
Yep. Lost in good fashion. Defend, lost, moved up in weight. Looked great.
Yep.
Hey, I can't make that way anymore. It's all good. Let's go.
Yep. Yeah, man. Yeah, I keep an eye on him next year.
Yeah. Raymond Ford.
Definitely put him in the top 5 of people to keep a lookout for. Not only is he talented, but they're moving him.
Yeah, true.
You got to look out for what they're actually moving. There might be a kid out there who's amazing, but if they're not moving him, then he's not really going to have a great year. Yep. His promoters have to believe in him. His promoters have to have him moved up out of the undercard, under the televised card, for him to get that national exposure and that worldwide exposure. So I think he's on the precipice there to be something.
Okay, KO of the year. We got a short list of 2. Decision of the year.
Dude, fucking Oshaki Foster, Robeson Conceição won.
Yeah, I was going to say, which one?
The first one, man.
Okay.
No.
I like it.
That was a controversial decision of the year for sure. No, just a clean decision fight. Man, you got to go with some, there's been a few of them when that's the guy's just like really outclasses the dude. And it's a little less memorable for sure. It means you got to actually pay attention to boxing and look at the scorecards. But I'd say you got to put Fury Usyk up there because those were clear decision wins. That's how you win on points in the boxing match. Mm-hmm. Without the first one was a lot more dramatic than the second, but without too much bullshit, a flash or nonsense, you can win boxing one round at a time, right? And you go out there and you stick to the game plan and you stay disciplined and you do that 12 times in a row and you're a world champion. So that's what a good decision win should look like. And we saw Usyk do that. Who else you got on that list?
Crawford Madrimov. Less decisive, but I think that Crawford made a decision pretty early in that fight. Okay, this guy's kind of big. He's kind of strong, and I'm going to take a decision. And I think he fought that fight. And I'm not sure what fight Madrimov fought. I'm sure his head hit the pillow that night and he was like, shit, I should have done way more in there and I could have done more. Yeah. And so I'm not sure if he was thinking there was going to be a moment for a 10-8 round or even a stoppage. And he just, like you said, he didn't fight 12 fights. Crawford went in there and fought 12 individual little fights and he won enough of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some people don't understand when they see a fight where they want, well, why didn't the guy do more? Why didn't he do? Well, maybe he couldn't because the other guy wasn't letting him.
Yep.
Because he was disciplined enough and skilled enough to make it hard on him to go out there and punch him, and all the while being real cautious about when he punches you. And that classic kind of East Coast American style of boxing, like I choose when the action happens, not you. And if you want to do something, good luck. Yep. And if I want to do something, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Yep. So it doesn't color the most exciting fights we've ever seen in boxing. But if you respect the sport and you know how the points work, yeah, you see, wow, he fought a smart fight. He came out undamaged and he won almost every round. That's how boxing's done. Some guys want to see these guys run head first at each other, but then we get back to what we just talked about. Dents in the dude's skull, unconscious on the mat for minutes at a time, career-ending injuries. I swear, if boxing was only that, I wouldn't be interested at all.
Yeah, that's true. If it was bare knuckle. It was
just like every fight ends in a violent ending, and it's just like whoever's fucking like got a thicker skull and can take more damage for a longer amount of time, that's like slap boxing. Yeah, the Dana White's slap box league, right? Power slap they call it.
Is that what it is? It's like on an app that you have to.
They just stand there and slap each other. There's nothing but slapping. It's ridiculous, and they get hurt, get knocked out doing it.
You know what boxing reminds me of? It reminds me of this Alfred Hitchcock quote. The director, there's no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it.
What kind of bang we talking about here, Dust?
He's talking about tension in movies. He was a pornography director. No,
foreplay. That's what that's all about.
But it's like, right? To your point, if every fight is just the knockout, it's not very interesting. But because the whole time you're on pins and needles. I mean, I was at the Madrimov Crawford fight, right, and it was fucking tense. I mean, it was 36 minutes plus the minute between rounds, right? And we didn't talk the whole time, just sitting there staring at it because you're like, oh my god, because you could see the power of both guys, especially Madrimov, who looked big in there, and like you're basically watching a guy dismantle a bomb in front of you, thinking it could go off at any time, and that's what tension is.
Yeah. I always call it like watching a guy walk a tightrope. Like,
Yeah.
and you're like, fuck, dude, you can fall at any minute.
Yeah.
And you're just watching. So yeah, great pick. Definitely a fighter that we're gonna have to look out for. Might be having his last year next year.
Well, other decisions of the year, got to shout out Beterbiev Bivol, dude who had
yeah?
never heard the bell, hears the bell and wins on points.
Yeah.
The least likely way, and the way that we predicted. That's Boxing Podcast made you money. You threw out this one right before the show, Catterall Taylor.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. If the points decision makes a promoter angry enough to get in the ring and complain about it in a Cockney British accent,
And dismiss a whole continent, which
Yeah.
we did earlier with our announcers, but that's
yeah,
based on fact.
because Bob got in the ring for that one and said, "No, this is bullshit. I'm never coming to here again.
I'll never bring a fight over a pond
This is a
again.
bunch of bullshit." So that's great. I mean, if you're pissing off the promoters, you're making the right thing happen here because we're not giving away these easy fights and guys aren't just knocking each other out. So that was a good fight. Yeah.
But my pick for decision of the year is a fight that never happened. Do you remember this fight that never occurred?
Well, what a few fights got canceled. What happened?
Oh no, it happened, but it never happened.
Oh, erased from history.
I'm giving Ryan Garcia decision of the year
Holy shit.
for his victory against Evan Haney because he survived losing a lot of rounds. Go back and I was watching that fight recently. He lost a shitload of rounds and he got a point deducted. And he still won on points because of what, 3 10-8 rounds? I mean,
it's a good
10-7 round?
Yeah, good thing he knocked that kid down 3 times because that added up.
I love this. This is like how to not win on points, but win on points. Be a not good boxer, lose every round, lose a point, but for turning your back and hitting people low and in the back of the head and all, just being a fool, but knock the other dude down so many times it doesn't matter. They still give you the victory.
Yeah, man. I can't believe that was this year. That seems like a whole long ass time ago. So that was like almost outside the realm of normal boxing as we experienced at the time. They really took over everything with all the drama and they inundated social media with so much promotion that it became this whole other thing. And I was happy when it was over. I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Don't want to go back.
Well, I'm sure we'll get to see that again.
Well, the kid, Garcia, was supposed to do an exhibition match, but then he hurt his hand, pulled out of that too.
Yeah.
So his career is not on a roll, as you say.
It's right where it should be, which is,
In the dustbin,
yeah,
in the garbage.
in a dumpster that's on fire but filled with money.
He's just burning money to stay warm.
Pretty much. Well, let's get to what I think is the best category. What was the fight of the year? Best fight, your favorite fight. You sit down your homie that doesn't really watch boxing, you get to play one fight from the year. What are you playing?
I got my top pick, but I'll give you my number 2 first. The Usyk Fury 1 was super fucking entertaining. Really high action. Seat of your fucking edge of your seat.
Yep.
Just like, oh my God, and that 9th round and all that. Wow, this was amazing.
It's a great fight.
But a lot of its drama was just built on big old bumbling Tyson Fury stumbling around in his big green shorts looking like the Jolly Green Giant and less about technical boxing and,
True.
So we went to one of the most technical boxers on the planet, active right now, young, talented, ready to really shine. Watch out for this kid next year and all of the years to come. It would be Bam versus Estrada. So we got young Bam with the body shot knockout on Estrada after about 6 rounds of action, and just really a pass the torch moment. And hey kid, here you go, it's all yours now. And he took it, and seeing a guy go down on a body shot like that to such a young talented kid, you just got to know, man, like, you're done, dude, it's over.
Yep. I definitely had that on my fight of the year. I mean, knocking off a legend, both of them getting knocked down. Bam for the first time in his career. Was that Estrada's first time getting knocked down? Yeah.
Yeah, and a long, healthy career too.
Both touching the canvas for the first time, and then one staying down to be stopped for the first time in his career. really tough to beat. Unbelievable fight.
Yeah, you're not on the edge of your seat. You're standing when you're
Yeah.
watching that. You better be standing. You know.
Well, I'm gonna throw out a couple honorable mentions. Of course, I had both of those on there. Incredible fights. I want to throw out Zepeda Farmer. I thought that was a great fight.
Yeah, okay, a little sleeper. Yeah, it didn't hit the superstar pages of the boxing world, but it was a upset of a knockdown, but not an upset of the result. That knockdown came out of nowhere. Farmer proved he's a lot better boxer than people were giving him credit for.
Yep.
And Zepeda got exposed as a lot more vulnerable of a boxer than people thought he was. So
Yep.
a lot of questions got answered in that fight.
And two completely different styles hitting. That was just a great fight. I love that fight. Fundora Zoo, the bloodbath,
Oh man, certainly the bloodiest fight of the year.
crazy fight. That might be moment of the year. That elbow.
Oh yeah, wow, yeah.
I had Haney Garcia on here just because the spectacle leading up to it, how crazy it was. Like that was just it dominated the news. Even now, I'm seeing pictures of Haney in court, suing him for battery and all this stuff related to this fight. So that's just a crazy fight. Great fight that we kind of forgot a little bit about. Ford Ball.
That was exciting, and that one was considered a robbery a bit at the time. I mean, Ball knocked him down twice.
Well, Ball won.
Wait, with Ford Ball? No, sorry, I was thinking earlier in the year, Ball and the tall boy.
Oh, yeah. Well, did Ball fight 3 times?
Yeah, because he fought Rios just a month or so ago,
And
he
won.
fought Ford, and before that he fought Vargas. And Vargas is the one who took the belt off of him.
Yeah, he fought Varg. Was that in 2024? Yeah, it was. It was in March. Yeah, so he gets a split decision on Vargas, wins split decision on Ford, and then the TKO of Rios. So he's on a streak. And he's fighting TJ Doheny, which I don't understand.
The guy who got his back broken by Naoya
Pause.
Inoue.
Yeah, that was...
My back!
Yeah, my back! And what weight class is that? What did he fight? What did TJ Doheny fight at?
For Inoue, it would have been
120?
126.
120. Yeah, he fought Inoue at 120, and now he's going up to 125 to fight Ball. All
That
right.
just seems like a stay busy fight or something. Like we're gonna quit giving you tough guys and watch. This will be the toughest one.
Yeah, that'd be curious. Ball had a good year though. Honestly, I didn't have him on my fighter of the year list, which we'll do next, but maybe I should. That was a decent year. But that was a great fight with Ford. Just back and forth action. I mean, Ball is the wrecking ball, and Ford had the slick style. It was kind of Farmer Zepeda-esque in terms of two opposite styles clashing in that way.
Yeah, that always makes for an exciting fight when it's not the same dude fighting himself. We got to have some kind of stylistic excitement. How do you beat this guy, or how can you adapt in the middle of a fight to change your style and make something happen in there?
Dismantle the bomb. But my fight of the year has got to be Bohocek Ortiz. I just thought that was a crazy fight. 2 undefeated dudes, 2 big punchers, never been knocked down, never been stopped. Hitting in the ring, you got Ortiz going down right away for the first time, then Bohocek going down, back and forth. That was, to me, you sit anybody down and show them that fight, and they're like, yeah, boxing's pretty interesting.
Okay, yeah, I remember being frustrated watching that one, thinking that Ortiz was going to be able to kind of get it going a little bit better, and then when he got the win, I was like, wait, what am I even looking at here? You know?
Yeah. That was a great fight.
It
And
should
it
have been
kind
a
of
draw.
exposed, it should have been a draw, 100%.
Yeah.
And, you probably would have made $1,000 on your dollar bet.
Yeah, Dollar General in the house.
One more to flash out, which this maybe, Abdullah Mason, his last fight against Vasquez. Remember that fight?
Wow! I mean, talk about getting up and getting up off the canvas to get it done.
Both fighters knocked down twice in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, 5 total knockdowns, counting the final
Counting
one.
the final stoppage.
in 2.5 rounds.
Pretty crazy.
Crazy ass fight.
All right, we got good fights of the year. Run these back, with Christmas with your family. Sit them down, educate them. All right, let's talk about fighter of the year. Who wears the crown? Who had the best year 2024?
Well, I mean, I am officially undefeated, so I had a pretty good year.
You had a pretty good year, I gotta say.
No, man, that was a real good year for boxing. You go look back, and we just we had so much boxing to look at, and this review was so thorough, but we even still missed a couple guys. Nick Ball fought 3 times. You know, we said Ford, he fought 3 times. A lot of these guys, Inoue fought 4 times, I think, in the calendar year. You know, there's so much that happened. There's so much that we could have forgotten. You know, I forgot about Canelo Munguia was this year.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that Jermaine Ortiz fought Teofimo Lopez this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That seems like a lifetime ago.
That does.
But there's a reason why they're not sticking in my head, because these weren't performances that cement themselves in the forever echelon of boxing.
And the fighters didn't go on, right? Like Teofimo went on to fight Steve Claggett to a decision. And it's like there's no momentum in his sales right now, right? You got to be putting together. You need a decisive victory or a run of 3 fights or something to stand out from other people. You know, Tio's stock is flat from last year.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Who have you got?
Fighter of the year, I think it comes down to a few. I think you could throw Inoue out there. I think you could throw Bam Rodriguez out there, even though he really just had the one victory, Estrada. I mean, he fought again, but the defining victory is Estrada. But it's a big one. I think the two that come down to me are both heavyweights. Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk. I think Dubois back-to-back upset victories, and he looked strong and imposing and very scary in there. Like, to the point that I'm like, shit, they run it back with Usyk. Dubois is, I don't know how Usyk gets out of the way of that wrecking ball. So Dubois' stock is just at an all-time high to me. He looks great. And he came back from questions. Like, people were like, I don't know, Dubois doesn't seem like he has heart. And he just answered that decisively in 2024. So I think big year for him. But I have to say, Alexander Usyk is the fighter of the year. Back-to-back victories over who is presumed the crowning champion of the heavyweight division. He unifies the belts, undisputed 4-belt champion, first time ever in the heavyweight division. How can you possibly have a bigger year than that? He leapfrogged Usyk and Inoue and Crawford to become pound for pound on everybody's list. He's the best boxer in the world right now. If he retires right now, it's career-defining year.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. Usyk all day, every day. There's no way to compare what other people did to him unless you say what they didn't do. So we could say if Canelo would have fought Benavidez twice and beat him, we could have said he was the fucking fighter of the year.
Right.
But he didn't.
Nope.
You know, Usyk took on the biggest pound on the scale challenge and a legitimate lineal heavyweight champion, and took it on twice in this huge fashion and beat him both times. Amazing. And you know, I got a little recency bias because I was still thinking about the fights we just watched. I thought long and hard about it, though, and I just couldn't see anybody else with that level of accomplishment. We might even have to break this category into 2 groups, because there's some other guys who had some great years, but they didn't have the opportunity to touch that level of greatness.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what boxing is about. When you have the opportunity, you got to touch it with both hands, grab it, and make it your own. That's why we get so frustrated with fighters like Canelo and Tank. And, we don't really know the ins and outs of their business details in their personal lives, but we see this guy with the potential to touch greatness, and he ain't touching it. Yep. Grab a hold of it, man. Put your hands around it. Pull it close,
Keyshawn, I was just thinking because Keyshawn Davis fought 3 times this year, beat Pedraza, beat Maduerno, just beat Lemos. His stock is at an all-time high.
Like he's right up there. He's moving his way up. He's in this. There's this like crop of growing fighters that are really going to make something happen, but they don't have those huge opportunities yet, and they're all kind of in the growing stage. We're looking at Usyk, and he's grown, full grown man, 36, 37 years old. And he's accomplished everything. If we would have seen Crawford take on some like 3 or 4, even a 3-fight run of really hard challenges this year, and put them together in a nice sequence, which I think you asked for a couple podcasts ago. You said, if I was his manager, I'd be like, blang, blang, blang.
Yeah,
let's
just get this undisputed in the 3rd weight class is right there. Just do it.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I follow him on Instagram like millions of other people do. He's like on a world tour, man. He's like hanging out in boxing gyms here and there, eating food here and there, just traveling the world. He made some post about travel the world, enjoy your life while you can. Then like his luggage got stolen somewhere.
I follow
all his shit. I'm like, damn, he really is out here adventuring. I don't really feel bad for a guy who's like, get some new fucking clothes, bro. I know you ain't hurting.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe he really liked those clothes, you know. He had a personal attachment to them.
I think you're right, though. I think break this category into two halves. One half is Fighter of the Year, Usyk. The other half is whose stock changed the most, up or down, you could say, right? Because I think, thinking about it, I think Keyshawn is the most ascendant. Like at the start of the year, he didn't really have the resume. And he started with Pedraza, stopped him in the 6th round. Oh, shit, okay. Won his next 2 fights. Now he's in a title fight. Like he's put himself at the highest level of contention. People mention his name and Tank's name all the time. Like he grew a lot. Going the other direction, Jared Anderson. Absolutely, from the guy, the next great American heavyweight, to, oh shit, is that guy going to be okay?
Yeah.
Is he even going to box anymore?
Yeah. Or Subriel Matias, he was a big talking point.
Matias,
and now he gets
champion.
wiped out by Liam Paro. And then now he's, that's it for you, kid.
Yep.
You know, and you got to start all over again. Now, luckily for these younger fighters, these guys who haven't got, they had a chance to, you know, they're not getting dug up by the roots. They're just getting cut back a little bit, and they can still grow. Mm-hmm. You know, in a fight like with Usyk or with Crawford, these older guys, they're so careful because they know they don't have time to grow again. If they take a hard loss or take a big damage or take any serious injuries, they don't have the time to regrow, to take a year to get it right.
Yep.
They don't have time for get-right fights. It's all big money fights. And that even adds to Usyk's legacy of only taking on these top challenges, never taking a stay-busy fight. I mean, if anything was a stay-busy fight, the Dubois fight was, and that became the most controversial one of his recent run.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Because that wasn't even supposed to happen.
Yeah. And was that his only stoppage at heavyweight?
No, he stopped his first heavyweight opponent by retirement.
Yeah. Witherspoon?
Yeah.
Yeah. But since then...
Yeah.
Joshua twice on decision, Chisora decision, yeah, and then and his only KO because Witherspoon retired.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. After starting strong, but he just did not look like he was in shape to keep up with that persistence of the Ukrainian. That's that pressure. I love that style.
Yeah.
It's like I always talk about that. Like the American style is like we're gonna choose to box when I want to box, where I want to box, and if I don't want to box, we ain't gonna box. It's all up to me. This guy's like, we're gonna box the whole time, and I'm gonna be all over you. I'm gonna be right in your fucking face. I'm gonna be all up on you, man. Yeah. And you're gonna have to deal with me all night. I'm not gonna sit back and rest. And nope, here I am all night long, right in your face.
But am I? Because I'm actually over here now. But now I'm over there.
Yeah. It's just so mentally draining. All right, man. Well, definitely. Well, I think Keyshawn is in my. You can't call him a prospect because now he's, title contention.
Yeah.
So he's beyond prospect. He's in a contender.
Mm-hmm.
So we could say he's a contender of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's hard to think of other people kind of right at that level who are ready in line for a Murataya, some of the lightweights, but he's up there. He's going to be exciting to watch next year for sure. I think,
and Bam, he's up there too, but obviously he's not a contender. He's a champion, and he's done a great job winning and retaining his titles. And I'm excited to see what they can do for him next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if he has a slow start next year. He just fought a month ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we might not see him until later.
Prospect of the year, I think it probably goes to Abdullah Mason. Just the most exciting, explosive fighter. Amazing to watch. Anytime you see his name on the undercard, you make sure you tune in early for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Abdullah all day. He's a superstar in the making. It won't be long before he's going to be our contender of the year and eventually fighter of the year.
Yep. All right, then we get into what's undoubtedly the least controversial category, which is podcast of the year. Obviously, we've tallied the votes. We're completely impartial, totally unbiased.
No, there's no bias here. We're just collecting data and reporting facts.
And it turns out that That's Boxing Podcast was podcast of the year.
Unbelievable. I mean, I would like to thank all our fans and listeners for the undying support. I'd like to thank my co-host, the second best boxing podcast host in the world.
That's right, the first best.
For his support, his constant dedication to the craft. And I couldn't have done it without him. So, I'm just going to take this award and put it on my mantle.
That's right. I'll have this award on the mantle.
I'll take this one home and put it on in my boxing trophy.
But really, thank you all very much for listening. Appreciate everybody that tunes in every week or other week, depending on my travel schedule. And seriously, we couldn't do it without you. You guys are awesome. all the interactions on Instagram, comments, feedback, everything means the world to us. Please take some time to write us a review if you haven't done that. Give yourself some good karma for Christmas.
Yeah, we're just doing this because we love to do this. We don't even know what the hell's going on out there in the world.
No.
This microphone might not even be plugged in right now. I don't know. That's all up to Dust. That's
if you
why.
don't leave us a comment, we have no idea if you're even out there.
But did we do this with or without the microphones? We do this with or without the computers. We sit around and we talk about boxing. We watch boxing. We love boxing. We live boxing. And we know our listeners do too. So you just, always reach out to us and let us know what's happening. We're looking forward to making some big moves next year. We're going to might start adding in some video. Might start doing some more, special events, maybe even doing a live event with the public where you guys can come see, and we'll have some rap performances and shit. And some live boxing.
Yeah.
And some fucking Kim Jong grilling in the parking lot. So 2025 block party.
It's off to a start.
It's the That's Boxing block party is going to be happening.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. We're just making this shit up right now on the
It's
fly.
just freestyle.
It's just riffing, but yeah, we're going to do all that.
Yeah, that'd be sick. And we can make those things happen if you guys help spread the word about the podcast and keep listening and liking and sharing. So, the real winners is the listeners.
Fans of the year.
Fans of the year.
That's Boxing Podcast
That's Boxing
listeners.
Listeners, you're the best.
And you know what, Coach? I'm skipping Podcast Host of the Year because we all know it's you. Hats off to Coach.
No,
do it
buddy, I
without
couldn't
you.
take that from you. I couldn't do this without you.
We'll share it.
Okay.
We'll share it. But we all know it's Coach.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. Let's say we'll give it to the dog.
Yeah, Plato.
Plato gets
Plato.
it.
We got to get him mic'd up next year.
Ow.
Well, it's been an awesome year of boxing. We're going to be off a little bit for Christmas here, and then we're going to come right back into the swing of things. We got a great January, a great February schedule. Super card, February 22nd. Can't wait for that. Turkey honoring me for my birthday week. Very gracious of him. Big fan of the pod.
Yeah, we're gonna be cruising, man. I'll be in London for a couple weeks. We can try to do a long distance pod, but the time frames might be a little difficult.
Hey, man, I did that shit when I was in Ireland.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was like 11 p.m.
All right, we'll make it work for sure. And but we'll have to put together looking into the new year, look ahead, see what's coming, make some plans, and I think this next year could be bigger, better, greater,
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good run. I think 2024 was a bit of a breath. A lot of people vying for title contention, and I think belts are going to move around a lot in 2025. Lightweight division, flyweight division, heavyweight. A lot of I think 147, 154 is going to have to shake itself out. Spence and Fundora getting back in the mix, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have a full calendar, and we're going to have to make sure that you study your boxing, take your notes, and don't mess around, don't miss out, and listen to That's Boxing Podcast.
Until then, I'm Dust,
I'm Coach,
and that's boxing.